Oh, day three. Day three. This is where everything comes together. This is the final day of the masterclass, and I am very, very excited because today morning an activation has come through that is for activating uniqueness within you, for activating your unique power. And I am very excited to deliver this activation, the final module of this masterclass today. Everything is going to be about what brings everything together. The final piece of the puzzle. What is that final piece of the puzzle? This is the energy of nine. In many, many spiritual systems, in many spiritual traditions, nine is completion. It's unity. It's where everything is coming together. And even in the law of three, the way I will be teaching the wormhole, we have the duality in the three and the six. The nine is what brings the duality together. It's what creates the trinity. And that is where manifestation takes place, is in the union of the forces that are in opposition. And what brings these forces together? How do these forces come together? I will be revealing that in today's masterclass. And to get into this, I'm going to be sharing my story of becoming Ti0. And I won't be sharing this story in a linear way. I'll be going back and forth on the timeline. And where I will begin is where Ti0 came in, where the name Ti0 came in, where the identity Ti0 came in. And that was in January 2019. I was in a 3-week isolation retreat, which was technically, now I'm realizing, the first 3-week wormhole that I went through in a very planned way. I knew it was going to be 3 weeks. I knew I'm meant to isolate myself for 3 weeks. And in that isolation, I was also silent. So I did not even make a sound for 3 weeks. I was avoiding even things like coughing. If I was feeling irritation in my throat, I had to find power not to vocalize that. How to gain control over myself to that extent that whatever is happening in my body, sound cannot come out. I was also without electronics and electricity, so I was in this super deep immersive experience for 3 weeks. There was no clocks, there was no electricity, there was just everything was as natural as it could be. And what happened in those 3 weeks is that in the first week I felt my old identity, my birth identity, Rohan. I felt it disintegrating. I felt it leaving me. I felt myself just shedding layers and layers and layers of identity. I had not planned what's going to happen in that 3 week experience. I just knew I meant to go through that experience. But what ended up unfolding is that pretty much for the first week, I was just shedding layers of identity. And I was coming out of being Rohan. Everything that I thought I was, everything that made me who I was, made me Rohan. Everything that the world had told me who I was, everything I had come to believe about myself. This is what I call the given identity. The name and the personality, the identity that has been given to you by the world, where the world has told you who you are, right from your name, starting with your name. The first thing that's given to you, apart from life itself, is your name. Life, your body, is given to you. You come with it. That's yours. But everything else that is given to you is an idea, it's a concept. That's where it becomes a mental thing. It becomes your identity because people keep telling you this is who you are. You are Rohan, you are Rohan, you are Rohan. This is repeated so many times that I come to believe I am Rohan. And then Rohan is this, and Rohan is that, and Rohan is this, and Rohan is that. And all of that becomes my identity. But who is giving me this identity? It's the world. My parents are telling me who I am. My friends are telling me who I am. My teachers are telling me who I am. My enemies are telling me who I am. Everyone, the world is telling me who I am. My culture is telling me. Religion is telling me. News is telling me what is happening and how that shapes me and makes me who I am. History is telling me who I am and what it means to be human. I am human and being human is blah, 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 blah. I am a man and being a man is blah, blah, blah. All of that is part of my identity. And in that week, for the first time, I was shedding this identity. Not for the first time, but for the first time, I was becoming very aware that I am shedding the identity in a very complete way. I had been identifying from parts of this identity, from parts of this personality over the 4.5 years leading to that experience. So, since my spiritual awakening in 2014, I had just been working on parts and parts and parts of my identity, of my traumas, of my beliefs. All of that was just, I was working on these parts, but they were all parts. One thing here, like hundreds and thousands of different things I was working on, but I was working on them as individual things. What was happening in this week was this totality of this identity was disintegrating and shedding. And as I entered the second week, now obviously I was very much not in time. Like I was not really following any rhythm or schedule because I had 3 weeks to myself and there was no clock, nothing. And when you are in that experience, really time stretches and becomes something that is very weird and very different. An hour can become eternity and a day can feel like it just passed in moments. So I was in this time dilation experience. So when I'm saying 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, it's roughly around that. But as I was entering week 2, what was happening is that I was starting to experience what it is to be nothing and no one. I was going into the void experience. I did not have an identity. I was no longer saying I am this, I am that. I did not have an I am. I was just being with no story in my mind. It was just me having this experience. And I was just feeling more connected to nature, more one with nature. This is the typical spiritual enlightenment experience, which you're connected to everything, you're one with everything, like what everyone talks about. But I was actually having this experience. It wasn't the first time. I had experienced this many times before, and that's how my spiritual awakening had started. So I was very familiar with this experience. But usually what would happen is that it would be this glimpse, it would be this peak experience, and it would pass. And what started happening in week 2 is I was having this sustained experience, and time was dissolving, and everything was just dissolving, and I was just feeling this flow, this eternal flow, this eternity, this infinity, this oneness with everything. And it was a few days that I was in this experience, and I don't know exactly when it was, how it happened, what was happening, but suddenly these questions started coming to me. These questions started coming to me of what now? What happens after this experience? Who am I coming out of this experience? How do I relate to the world? How do I present myself? How do I experience the world and how does the world experience me? What now that I feel I am nothing, I feel connected to everything, there is no identity, what now? This is not a very functional experience. It's not a functional way to be in the world. It's great, it's beautiful, but also I don't want to just be like this for the rest of my life. I don't I don't want to just be in this completely elevated state, disconnected from humanity, disconnected from whatever makes me human, whatever is normal. Like I still enjoy those things. So how do I bridge these two experiences? And the reason I was having all of this contemplation is that in the past I would be in this duality, in this polarity. I would go into this experience, this enlightened state, and then I would come back and I would go back to who I was, my old self. And I was always trying to escape the old self, run away into this enlightened experience because that is bliss and that is amazing. But it can't be sustained. And I would then crash back into who I was, and that was suffering and that was hell. And as I was realizing what was happening in this duality and why there is this constant desire to run from one to the other, something started appearing in between. And I started realizing that there is a way to be in the world where I can bring my humanity and I can bring this divine experience together. And all of that started coming through. And I started asking myself the question, who do I want to be? I have been told who I am. I have been also told what the spiritual experience is and how you're supposed to be spiritual and how You're not supposed to have an identity, and identity is suffering according to the Buddha, and this and that, and all of these spiritual ideas. Just I am. You're supposed to be I am, and nothing more. Like, doesn't resonate for me. I want to be something. I want to be happy. I want to have a great experience of life. So I started asking this question: who do I want to be? And one of the things that had been deeply missing from my life was balance. I was always in this polarity, in this duality, swinging from one to the other. My dad had given me the name pendulum. I am always in the swing. I'm never in the center. I'm never at rest. I'm never in balance. Most normal people, even if they're not in the center, at least they're on one pole and they're fixed there. They're not going constantly one to the other, one to the other, feeling crazy, driving everyone crazy, and looking crazy. Like that was my experience for quite some time. It's like I was just swinging from one to the other. And so I realized that what I want is balance. And the question popped into my mind is, what is the letter in the alphabet, in the English alphabet, that represents balance? And it immediately came to my mind, it's T. It looks very balanced, It's T. So, okay, T represents balance. Great. Who else do I want to be? I want to be infinite. I had always felt this deep suffocation in my life before that. I'd always felt this strong energy. I had always been a rebel. My dad also used to call me a rebel without a cause, because I would rebel against anything and everything just to have that feeling of freedom. And what I had been doing prior to this work was shedding the rebel, because I started realizing that it's not really who I am, and I don't need to rebel against everything, and I'm already starting to feel free. I don't want to have freedom through rebellion. I just want to be free. Not because I'm fighting the prison, I'm fighting what everyone is telling me. I just want to experience this pure and absolute freedom. But I want it to be infinite. The infinite makes me feel free. And so I was like, okay, infinite is the next thing I want to be. So I want balance, I want infinity. I want to feel infinite. And I want to feel whole. I want to feel complete. Because I had always felt something was missing. So for a long time, I was an addict, seeking, craving always. Like I was addicted to several substances prior to my spiritual awakening. During my spiritual awakening, I ended up stopping all substances. But I substituted those, not substituted, I dropped those, but there were still things I was using to numb myself. I was still craving something. So I was still addicted to TV. I was still addicted to food. I would be binge eating, binge watching. And I had this feeling that something is missing, something is incomplete. And I was always in this seeking of more, something to fill me, something to make me feel full. And I could never feel full. And I used to have a ridiculous appetite. And as I was working over those 4.5 years, things shifted, but I still did not feel full. I did not feel complete. I did not feel whole. And so the last thing that came to me was, I want to feel whole. I want to feel complete. And what represents wholeness? And the thing that came to my mind was zero. Zero is where I feel whole. And it felt very appropriate, because up until then, I had felt. So I had gone through, at the age of 16, I had a massive drug overdose. I felt my soul leaving my body. And I just felt empty since then. Since then, to that experience, I just felt emptiness. And there was this concept that had been taught to me that our soul gets damaged and it has holes and this and that, and we have to recover our soul. I don't believe that anymore, but that was what I was being taught at the time, and I was working in that model. But the feeling that came to me is that I'm not a soul with holes. I am a whole without a soul. I'm just empty. That's how I used to feel. And it felt very appropriate that I went from feeling zero, I went from feeling empty to redefining what zero means. It means wholeness. I went from HOLE to WHOLE. I went from whole to whole. And I just felt that this is perfect. So, okay, I want balance, which is represented by T. I want to feel infinite, and I want to feel whole, which is represented by zero. And that's where all of a sudden the infinite zero came to me. I am the infinite zero. That is how the whole identity was created. I created this identity by asking myself, who do I want to be? What do I want to feel? That's how the infinite zero was born, in that experience. In the middle of that experience, the infinite zero was born. And then I realized, oh, now I'm supposed to tell people I'm the infinite zero? That sounds a bit crazy. That doesn't really sound like a name. I cannot go around introducing myself as the infinite zero, especially in a place like Brazil where no one speaks English and no one can make any sense of that. Like, okay, so how do I express this? And boom, I realized that it becomes Ti0. If I just pick each term, it's T for balance, it's I for infinite, and it's zero, and that is Ti0. And in Brazil, coincidentally, that means uncle, and it's a pretty popular name. And I can just call myself Ti0 from today. And again, it was just like, okay, so I am Ti0. I am the infinite zero. I know who I am from today. I know who I am from today. I have created myself. I have created my identity. I am choosing who I want to be. I'm choosing who I want to be from today, rather than the world telling me who I am. Now, this seemed amazing, and I thought it's going to be super easy. Okay, from today I'm Ti0. Boom, let's go. And I took the next about 8 to 9 days that were remaining in the 3 week experience to integrate this, to start becoming Ti0, to start really feeling what it means to be Ti0, what it means to feel balanced, what it means to feel infinite, what it means to feel whole, complete. And I was going through several activations and several meditations, and I was just starting to create this energy field within myself where I was feeling like I am whole, I am complete, and within that I can feel infinite. So I was also feeling that, there's always been this paradox of contentment, of like, if you're content in spirituality, if you feel contentment, then you have no desire. And it's just like end of life in a way. It's just like, okay, now you're at peace and you can just wither away in a cave meditating for the rest of your life. I was like, that doesn't feel at all right to me, but I still want to feel whole, I still want to feel complete, I want to feel fulfillment. And what I realized is I can fill this completeness with infinity. Within this completeness I can experience the infinite, I can have infinite desires, and I can feel the fulfillment of each desire while feeling whole at the same time. It's not a paradox in this state of mind. If I drop the idea, if I drop the belief that being whole, being complete means that there is no more desire, while also dropping the belief of this endless craving and seeking means that there is something missing or wrong, I can actually bridge both. I can feel complete, I can feel whole, while having infinite desire, infinite life, infinite fulfillment, greater and greater fulfillment. My infinity can keep growing, my wholeness can keep growing. Instead of feeling that there is something missing, that I am empty and I'm constantly trying to fill myself and seeking from that place, I am whole. I am whole. I feel whole. I feel complete. And this wholeness is ever expanding. It's infinitely expanding. And it's expanding through the fulfillment of my desires. I feel whole. I know I am whole. I am whole without needing anything. And I keep growing by becoming more, by feeling more, by becoming more of who I want to be. I keep adding to this. So I want to feel happy. I want to be happy as a state, not just as a fleeting emotion. I'm happy because something happened on the outside. I want to actually be a happy person. And there was one insight that absolutely blew my mind, that happier is not happy. That sad and unhappy are completely different things. Sad is an emotion, unhappy is a state. And trying to be happier from unhappy doesn't mean that you're actually happy. You can be just the tiniest bit happy as a state, and that is true happiness because it's a state, and that can keep expanding infinitely. You can be happier from being happy rather than seeking happiness and wanting to be happier from being unhappy. And it's nothing to do with sadness. You can be happy and have sad experiences. They don't diminish your baseline joy, your happiness, your state of being happy. Life can happen, pain can happen, and it doesn't take away your inner joy of life. You realize that life has beginnings and endings, that life has grief and pain, but you don't forget and let go your inherent joy of life, your inherent happiness to be alive. You realize that all of that contrast actually makes you appreciate life even more. It makes you even more joyful as you come out of that sad, painful experience. You feel even more grateful for life. But all of that happens when you're rooted in a baseline state of happiness. of joy. That becomes your baseline. That became my baseline. And it took a long time to get there to even realize all of that. It's only happened in the past 3 months that I have actually made that switch fully. Because up until that, I used to keep thinking I'm happier than I was, without realizing what that means is that I'm actually unhappy. But I'm happier than I was, so I can feel better about myself. I don't want to just feel better about myself. I want to actually be happy. And that has nothing to do with your circumstances. That has nothing to do with your situation. You can be happy no matter what is happening. You can be happy to be alive. That's all. End of story. Then whatever is happening can create whatever emotion is happening, but it doesn't. It's different. There's the state of happiness, the state of unhappiness. There's the emotion of happiness, there's the emotion of sadness, anger, pain, what joy, whatever it is, but that's not the state. You can experience all your emotions from a state of joy, from a state of happiness, from a state of love, from a state of peace, whatever you choose, whatever is the baseline you want to choose for yourself. It doesn't have to be happiness. I prefer happiness because why would I not want my baseline to be happy? That's what I chose. For a long time it was peace, but that peace was not real peace. It was just neutrality. It was apathy. But because that was the case, I realized actually I don't enjoy this peace and neutrality at all. I actually want to be happy. I actually want to feel alive. I want to feel joyful. And all of this kept expanding my wholeness. I get to be infinite things. I get to be anyone and anything. That's what, for me, it means to be the infinite zero. But I'm not trying to be someone else because I'm unhappy with who I am today. I get to be someone else. I choose to be someone else because that inspires me today. That calls me today. But I don't need to be someone else because I'm unhappy with who I am today. I am so joyful with life that today what makes me joyful is to take a day off from all my work and just to be with my dogs, with my friends, with my family, whatever it is. Or today what makes me joyful is to give this masterclass, to be fully immersed in my work. I get to be who I want based on whatever is inspiring me today because I am in love with life, because I feel joyful. Do you see how different the two experiences are? You're craving to be different, you're wanting to be different because you're unhappy and you just want to feel better, versus you feel great and your greatness is expanding. Stop settling for happier. Be happy. Don't be happier from unhappy. Be happy. How does this bridge to where I started with this module of this masterclass? I started by saying that there is something that bridges duality. There's something that bridges duality. And up until we find that, we are always caught up in duality. We are either happy or unhappy, sad or unhappy. We're fluctuating all the time. We are not self-defined. We are who the world told us who we are. We are either in love with someone or hating them. We are this, we are that. We're always swinging in these dualities, in these paradoxes. That contentment means that there is no desire anymore, that you are just withering away in a cave meditating. Or the only way for desire is because you feel empty and you need to seek and fill yourself with something, instead of this pure sacred desire that comes from feeling whole and joyful. This is where duality is bridging, where you stop feeling diminished by either. If I find enlightenment, I can no longer have desire. If I have desire, I cannot be enlightened. Not true. That's duality. You can have everything. That's what you find in the Trinity. What creates the Trinity? It's you. You are the third force. You are the one who harmonizes duality. That is consciousness. That is the gift of consciousness. That's the power of consciousness. You are the one who has the power to bridge duality. That will only happen when you drop all the ideas given to you by the world and you start feeling everything you want and learn how to bring it together, learn how to put it together. That is your power. You can have everything you desire. You can have enlightenment, you can have fulfillment, you can have material satisfaction, you can have success, you can have everything. You can have love, you can have joy, you can have family, you can have everything. Whatever you want your life to be, you can have it. And this wanting doesn't come from the mind, because that mind wanting is trying to fill something. This is true sacred desire that comes from your soul. And when your desire is aligned with your soul's desires, it becomes a reality. And it becomes a reality that amplifies the greatness, the great feelings within you. When you are creating reality because of seeking, you keep creating what you are seeking and who you are. So if you are anxious looking for peace, you will try to create a perfect world where no one can disturb you and no one can cause you anxiety. And you know what that causes? It causes anxiety because you have to keep everything held together. You have to make sure nothing goes off the plan. And no one disturbs your peace. You're constantly in the anxiety of making sure no one causes you anxiety. How does that work? It doesn't. If you're craving peace from your mind while feeling anxious, you're only going to create more anxiety. But you can have real peace. That is a desire for your soul. And tapping into that sacred desire means finding actual peace with the world the way it is, with life the way it is, not needing to control it, not needing to be the one who's trying to hold it together and keep it together to make sure that everything doesn't fall apart and cause you more anxiety. It's a game you will never win. But there is another game where you can actually have what you desire. You can have peace, you can have beauty, you can have joy, you can have love, you can have all of it. You can have success also, and you don't have to be anxious that the success will go away. Because you're finding that success within yourself. You're finding love within yourself, and that becomes your reality. When you are in love, when you're in the state of love, not falling in love with someone and this temporary thing that comes because something happened on the outside. But when you actually find love within yourself, whatever you create is created from love, and it will bring more love to you. When you create from happiness, you create from joy, it brings more happiness and joy. When you create from peace, it brings more peace. That's how the universe functions. That's how life functions. That's how consciousness functions. And all of this is leading up to the activation that I had said I will be doing in the beginning. And to do that activation, I'm going to share another story, and I'm going to pick up and bring something that I want to show you. So this is another story of becoming peer. Now this journey, this isolation retreat that had started in 2019. As I said, when I came out of it, I was Ti0, the infinite zero. But as I said, it was not the easy journey I had imagined. What I faced instantly was complete rejection. People who refused to accept my new identity, and because they were attached to my old identity, because they needed to keep telling me who I was. That's what I experienced immediately. And all of a sudden, I had this dual identity because I realized that I had experienced the disintegration of Rohan. But that did not mean that Rohan went away, because Rohan was also held together by the world. It was what the world projected onto me, and it doesn't just go away because I wish it away. I don't just stop being that because the world still holds that image of me. And that energy is still very much alive. And what I experienced was 4.5 to 5 years of truly becoming Tio. What had come through in that experience was an initiation. I knew who I wanted to be. But that did not mean suddenly I was that. I did not have the power to actually be that in every moment of my life. For a long time, I was stuck in the idea of being that. But the idea of being that is very different from actually being that. That demands power, that demands transformation. What it means to truly be infinite all the time, what it means to be truly in balance all the time, what it means to truly feel complete all the time. My completion started in September or October of 2023. 4 years after that, I finally started feeling complete. But that was again initiation. It was a year after that, in July 2024, that I actually became complete, that I actually felt truly complete. I realized I'm done feeling incomplete that in that experience. And since then, it's sustained. But what would happen before that is I would have the idea of it, but I would still feel incomplete. I would still be seeking, I would still be craving, I would still be trying to fix myself, feeling that there's something wrong with me. But when I found completion, I realized I am whole, I am complete. And this is what I help people with now, because the healing journey is endless for most people. Without them realizing that what they're actually seeking is already there within them. And to feel complete, you do not need to fix yourself. There's nothing wrong with you, there's nothing missing in you. It's a realization that you are complete. And that was the work that I did in that 9 months from September to July, was keeping on reminding myself, realizing I am complete. What I'm shedding is the idea that there's something wrong with me, that there's something missing. And as I was actually practicing that, whenever it came up, whenever I felt that incompleteness, whenever I felt there's something wrong with me, I had to just hold myself and realize it's not true. And the more I did that, the more I became whole. The more I became that within me which was already whole and complete. So that happened in July 2024. And it was only in the last few months that I truly started feeling infinite. Because up until then, my mind was still seeking some kind of container, some kind of box to fit me into. Whether I'm doing something like human design, I'm doing something like astrology, some system like Enneagram or this or that. Always these systems who want to tell you who you are. You have this label now. You are the peacemaker. I am number 9 in the Enneagram and I am the peacemaker. Oh, I'm human design, I'm the projector, I'm this, I'm that. Always trying to tell you who you are. That's what these systems do. And I was always clinging on to these systems, looking for some system that will tell me. But what was I always experiencing? I was never fitting in. Every time I would receive a label, I was like, doesn't really fit me. It tells me I am this, but I don't actually feel that. And it was only in January, less than 2 months ago, that I fully embraced being infinite, fully realizing that no container, no system, no concept, no idea can capture me. The only thing that can hold me and my infinity is that container I created for myself, the wholeness I created for myself, within which I get to be anything and everything. And this is also what I teach people today, is that these systems can help you to navigate, but they can only take you so far. On the infinite journey, you are infinite. They can only take you so far. They can only be valid up until a certain level. At some level, all of it falls apart. None of it can hold you. And that level is when you need to learn to hold yourself. You don't need to wait until that level. That work can happen immediately. But you need to define yourself. You need to hold yourself. And you need to hold yourself and create yourself in an identity that doesn't diminish you ever. And this is truly what was missed by the Buddha. The Buddha said that identity is our biggest prison. It's the cause of our greatest suffering. And any attachment to identity causes us suffering. And he came up with this concept of I am. I cannot be captured in an identity. But it's not very functional because then the world created the identity of the Buddha for him, started defining him as the Buddha, started seeing him as the Buddha. And this is what the Buddha is, and that is what the Buddha is. And the Buddha said this, so it's true. But they created an identity for him. We cannot be in the world without identity. It's our interface with the world. But what we can do is we can define our identity. We can create our identity in a way that it doesn't make us trapped, that it doesn't suffocate us. And this is an identity that is rooted in your soul, that is rooted in the laws of the universe, which are unchanging. The law of change, that the only constant is change. That is the root of your identity, is that you will always be changing. And if you're identified with that, that you are the one who's always changing, you are the one who can become any version of you. Like I said in module 2, you are not the clothes that you wear. You are the one who wears the clothes. You are not the identity. You are not the version of you that you present yourself with. You are the one who's being that version. And tomorrow you can become any other version. So your identity is rooted in the law of change and several other laws, which I will be exploring in my teachings to come. But when we create our identity in these eternal laws, what happens is that now we are defined, we know who we are. The law of infinity, the law of zero, the law of wholeness, completeness. When you define yourself as that, when you know yourself as that, no one can tell you who you are anymore. And it doesn't matter what people say about you because you know who you are. You allow people to experience you in whatever way that they need to experience you, in the way that they're meant to experience you. And if they project onto you, it doesn't matter because you know who you are. I had one of my clients who did a 10-day immersion with me. She lived with me for 10 days. She saw me in action. She was super grateful. She wrote me a letter to the extent of saying that she found a guru in me. And guru in Sanskrit is the one who dispels darkness and illusion. A true guru doesn't tell you who you are. They take away who you are not, who you think you are. all the illusions about yourself. A true guru takes away illusions. They don't tell you who you are. They hold the light of authenticity, of uniqueness. They hold that for you to calibrate, for you to find yourself and your light, for you to become who you are. That's the guru I am. I am a guru, but in the truest sense of that word. Not again the way the world has now defined guru as cult leader who's manipulating and abusing people. A true guru doesn't have followers. That's again a concept. A true guru is a light that dispels darkness but doesn't give you light. It's just a light that helps you find your own light by just clearing away all the darkness. And that's where I'll come to the story. So, prior to starting that isolation experience, I had an ayahuasca journey in which I saw my energetic container was full of holes. I was completely porous, which means I was constantly leaking energy and anything could come in. Anything could come in. So I would be influenced by anything that was happening around me and I couldn't hold on to my energy. I would constantly be leaking, depending on others, over giving to others. That was my energetic container before entering that experience. And what came out of it was I defined myself. But to become that defined self was a journey which culminated on my 34th birthday, which was in 2024. So, in this birthday experience, I had an ayahuasca experience wherein I finally connected with and saw my soul, and my soul came into me. As I said, in that drug overdose, I had seen my soul leaving at the age of 16. At the age of 34, on my 34th birthday, I saw my soul re entering me and becoming fixed. Up until then, I had seen my soul, but it was never able to stay. It would just come and go, come and go, come and go because there was too much going on in my energy field that did not allow it to stay. It did not want to stay because there was a lot of nonsense going on. It did not have the space and the capacity to stay because I was not ready to honor it fully. I was not ready to say yes to my soul that you come into me and I will honor you fully. So what my soul was doing up until then, it would visit me and clear out something that would help me to later honor it more. But on my birthday, as I saw my soul coming into me, I, I finally understood who I am. I am a star. I am a source of life. And I'm here to shine. And in that moment, I committed to honoring that. To this day, I commit to honoring that, to being the star, a source of life. And this is my activation for you. I'm here to be a star, to help you activate the soul star within you, to help you honor the unique soul that you are. You are a source of life and light. But we are all stars. We all have souls that are stars, that are shining. So, what truly makes you unique? What makes you unique is not that you are a star shining and radiating light. What makes you unique is the frequency that you emit. The frequency of life and light that you emit is absolutely unique to you. No one has the codes, the frequency codes that you emit. They may have some of those codes. You do share codes with other people, but put together, everything put together, there is no one who has what you have. You are a unique star in the universe. Feel that. Allow yourself to feel that. That there are people who are meant to receive a frequency of life through you that they're not going to find anywhere else. You are the medicine for other souls. You are the nutrition for other souls. And no one can live on potatoes their entire life. We all need different types of food, and our soul has the highest demands of nutrition. It needs all different kinds of unique frequencies for it to be its unique self. And for many souls, one of those frequencies is you. And people are meant to experience you in whatever way, because they may experience you as a teacher, they may experience you as an artist, they may experience you as a leader, they may experience you as a brother, sister, wife, husband, father, mother, daughter, child, son, whatever it is. Friend, enemy, competitor, whatever it is. But they can only experience you when you're actually fully being you and you're radiating the frequency of you. All the frequencies that make you you. You can even be an invisible star, because it's not light that you are radiating, it's life. It's life. You are a star radiating life, unique codes and frequencies of life. That's your soul. That's who you are meant to be, not what the world told you. And as that soul, you get to be anything and everything. You get to choose who you want to be. You want to be a doctor? Great, nothing wrong with it. You want to be a star, an actor, you want to be a model, you want to be a painter, a musician, a coach, a therapist. However you want to express your unique magic, there is no limit to it. You get to be multiple roles, multiple identities, multiple labels. You're not defined that, oh, I chose to be a doctor, I have to be the doctor the rest of my life. You can choose to be a doctor for your whole life and at the same time be an actor and a musician and a lover and a leader, whatever you want. You get to create whatever combination you want. Your soul is capable of being all of it. Some things it will be simultaneously, some things it will be sequentially, some things it will do once in your life and it will never do it again. All of it is valid. All of it is valid. I am a star radiating light with very unique frequencies. One of those frequencies is uniqueness itself, helping you to activate your uniqueness. Experiencing me is medicine for your soul. It is food for your soul, for the next level of your soul, to incarnate, to manifest, to actualize. And you cannot find that food anywhere else. What food comes through me, you will not find anywhere else. And that's a beautiful thing. It's not a thing of scarcity. Because when you are meant to receive it, you will be able to receive it. You will manifest that. I create different containers, different portals, different ways to access the frequencies that I emit. And those containers are defined in a way that the people who are meant to receive the frequencies that I'm going to be emitting in that container, they will receive it. And so if you do not feel called to a specific offer, if you do not feel called to a specific opportunity, to a specific container, for whatever reason, the idea doesn't resonate, you don't have the money for it, you are not ready for it, whatever it is. If you do not feel called to it, it's because you're not meant to receive it in that way, in that moment. But when you receive the calling and you know you're meant to be in that container, you will know it as a calling. It doesn't have to make sense. You may not even have the money. Money appears. That's manifestation. If it is meant to happen, you will manifest it. Guaranteed. I have seen that happen in my life numerous times. I've seen that happen with countless people. Money is never the real obstacle. But if you feel that money is the obstacle, deeper than that is because you're not ready to receive, or you're not meant to receive that frequency. Or you're not ready for it and you will join the same thing at another time. And that's totally fine. What you can do to make yourself feel better, instead of feeling scarcity of money, that, oh, I don't have the money for this, realize that if it is meant to be now, the money will appear. And if it's not meant to be, it's not because of money. Money is just one of the barrier. But really, it's because it's not meant to be. It's not the thing you are meant to experience in this moment, in this time. And let yourself feel good about that. That I don't need to feel bad because I don't have the money. I'm just not meant to experience this. And now I choose not to experience this. Or I just choose to stay open that if it is meant to be, the money will appear somehow or the other. And magic happens. That's what manifestation is. That's what happens in the wormhole. You become a different version of yourself, and all of a sudden resources appear, capabilities appear that were just not there before. They were just not there. They were not even possible. That's the level I play at. Things that were impossible become a reality. And let me tell you a story that follows from that birthday. As I realized I am this soul, this star who's meant to shine and radiate light in this unique frequency, in this unique way. Few days later, so I was in that experience with my dear sister. It was just the two of us. And 2 days later, so we had gone to a place called Chapada Diamantina, which is super gorgeous. It's about 6 hours driving from here. It's a mining area where a lot of crystals are mined. There's a lot of things mined, but it's a big crystal mine, and all kinds of crystals are found there. So it's a big tourist hub where lots of people come to buy crystals and explore the energy of the place because it's gorgeous also. It's in the middle of the jungle. It's got waterfalls, hikes, all kinds of amazing things. So that's where we had gone for my 34th birthday. And after that experience, we went. So 2 days later, so that experience happened in a valley in the middle of all of these mountains. It was just amazing, gorgeous. And 2 days later, after we had come down from that experience, we went into the town. And as we were roaming this town, my sister was looking for crystals, just exploring, not with any specific intention. But she was curious about one crystal, which was, I don't even remember what it was, but it was a yellowish crystal that she was looking for. And so she was exploring the shops, and suddenly she picked up one crystal, and she asked the shopkeeper, "Is this the crystal?" And the shopkeeper said, "No, this is." They gave some name in Portuguese. I couldn't really understand it. And then they said that this is the crystal, and the inside this is what they use to make fiber optics. And I was like, "Oh, that's cool." So the fiber optic internet that is now very much all over the world, one of the ingredients of that is in this crystal. And I was like, "Wow, that's very cool." Anyways, she left it because she did not want that. She did not get what she was looking for, so we moved on from that shop. But that somehow stuck with me. I was not even looking for crystals. I did not have any interest in buying anything. But that idea stuck with me because having a techie background, a crystal from which fiber optics are made, I was like, that sounds cool. And it's also connection. It connects the world. Like fiber optics are what are connecting the world today. I was like, it would be very cool to have it from that point of view. So the next day, we went to another shop and I started looking for this crystal. And I found one and it was in its rawest form and I picked it up and it was like, okay, this is great. I bought it, I took it home and I started researching it. And it turned out that this crystal is called rutilated quartz. And the chemical composition of this crystal is titanium dioxide, TiO2. TiO2 is the name of this crystal. The story is crazy enough, but as I mentioned, when I started that isolation retreat and I witnessed this porous energetic container, one of the things that came to me, a very strong teaching and guidance, was that you need to fortify your energy container. And you need to do it with the element titanium. You need to invoke the energy of the element titanium to create your boundaries. I was like, what the hell is that? I don't know how to do that rationally and mentally, but energetically, I knew how to do that. And I started creating this container of titanium. So I had titanium boundaries. Titanium being one of the strongest metals and strongest elements, it felt very appropriate to have titanium boundaries. I was done with being porous. I was done with leaking energy. I was done with being influenced by everything around me. I was like, I'm ready for titanium boundaries. So in that isolation experience, I had the guidance to create titanium boundaries. In that isolation experience, I became the infinite zero, TIO. And in the completion experience where my soul, Tio, finally fully incarnated and became rooted in my body, 2 days later, I find the rutilated quartz, which has the chemical composition of TO2. This is titanium dioxide in crystal form. And this is what fiber optics are made from. So if you look at it closely, it's got all of these fibers within. And that was the story of manifestation. If you don't believe that money can appear out of nowhere, it's way crazier to manifest a crystal with a chemical composition that's your name. It's way easier for money to appear. And if this can happen, anything can happen. This is the field of potential. This is the field of possibility. Anything can happen. I pulled a crystal out of the universe that has my name. You can go look it up. It's called rutilated quartz crystal. And the chemical composition is TO2. The even crazier thing is that just a month before that, I changed my handle across all social media platforms to TOXOIT, which was like a mirror. So it was TOX and TO in reverse. And what is that? TO multiplied by TO2. I did that 1 month before my soul experience, my soul incarnation experience. So I became a TO2 on all of social media a month before my soul TO incarnated, and I found a crystal called TO2. This is the level of magic that's possible. And it does not happen linearly. It doesn't happen through calculation. There is literally no path to get here logically, linearly, exponentially. This is quantum manifestation. You can pull crystals out of the universe. Money is no big deal. Money is never the obstacle. If it is not happening, if it's not working out, whether it's money, whether it's time, whether it's this, whether it's that, that's never the real reason. It's because it's not meant to work out. It's not the time. If you're meant to have that specific experience, it will happen at another time. And if you're meant to have an experience and you don't think it's possible, just open yourself up to it. If you are meant to be in the wormhole starting Monday, you are meant to be there. You're meant to receive something there. You're meant to receive energy codes, frequency codes. You're meant to receive something in there. And whether you want to be there or not, your mind may say, this is nonsense. I don't believe this. It doesn't matter. If something inside you feels called, it's because you're meant to be there and you're meant to receive something. You may come into the experience thinking that you're meant to receive a specific thing. You're meant to manifest a version of yourself that you think is meant to manifest. And you may end up walking out of the experience with something completely different. That has happened so many times with me and with my clients. They think that they're coming for something and they leave with something entirely different. And that entirely different thing is so much bigger and richer than anything that they could have imagined or wanted. It's so much more than you can imagine. People come with high expectations into my world and they leave exceeding those expectations. You can have the highest expectations, and I'm telling you, what you will receive will blow your mind apart. It will blow your mind apart. That's if you're called into an experience. If you just hear this and you say, oh, it sounds cool, I want something, but you're not actually called to the experience, you will end up leaving disappointed. And maybe that's exactly what you need. And that's also part of your soul's journey. But if you're truly called into this experience and you enter this experience, you will receive exactly what you're meant to receive in ways that you cannot comprehend, in ways that you cannot imagine, in ways that don't make sense. Pulling things out of nowhere is what happens in the energy field around me. I was going through another wormhole, which I've written about, which you will be getting access to. I've put it into a book format, and you'll be getting access to that if you join the wormhole, because it's a story I don't want to share publicly. But if you access that, you're going to see what happened in that experience. One of the things that happened in that experience is that I was walking with my sister in the middle of the jungle. This is my soul sister. She is Lithuanian. She is not my birth sister. I don't have a sister, a birth sister. So I was walking with her in the jungle. We were on one of our hikes. But that day, we had an intuition to go in a different direction. A direction we don't usually ever go to. We had been there once, but never really felt called to it. And as we were walking back from that, we saw a pure, crisp, white rabbit coming towards us. A white rabbit in the middle of the jungle, the rainy, muddy, mucky jungle, where anything gets dirty. It's either dusty or it's wet and mucky. There's nothing that remains pure white over here. It's almost impossible to have something that's pure white. Like that degree of white, like that rabbit was so white, it was almost hurting the eyes. It was just as though it had been cleaned with bleach. It was just pure, crisp white. And it just came towards us, stood there for a moment, and then it ran away into the jungle. That is actual magic. This is literally what magicians, the illusions that magicians pull, is pulling a white rabbit out of a hat. I actually experienced that. That is a degree of manifestation that's possible. You can pull white rabbits out of the universe. You can pull crystals with your name out of the universe. And for me, all of that is so much crazier than just receiving money, which also I have manifested. I manifested tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. Absolutely out of nowhere. But for me, all of that is great. I super appreciate it. But that is more normal. A lot of people do that. A lot of people are able to manifest money, but not a lot of people are able to pull white rabbits out of the universe in the middle of the jungle. Not a lot of people are able to pull crystals with their name out of the universe. I have also manifested a single bandaid. I'll be putting photos of these stories into my Instagram story, so you can follow me there and see actual proof. I don't have the white rabbit because we were without our phones, but several of the other things, I'll be posting stories about them. The bandaid story also. What is the bandaid story? So I was in LA in November 2024, so last year. So a few months back, I was in LA, and I had injured my knee. I had just bumped my knee against a metal bench, and it was like cut, and it was hurting a bit. And that was a few days before, and I had received an invitation to a party, a pool party at a Hollywood mansion. Again, that invitation came out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. Suddenly, I wake up in the morning, and this was after I had gone through a big transformative experience, which was about claiming my presence and expanding my presence. I had gone through that experience where I made this definitive decision to expand my presence. I wake up next morning, I go on Instagram, and what do I see? The first thing I see, you are invited to a pool party at a mansion in Hollywood. Out of nowhere. I didn't know the person, I didn't have any connection. It just showed up right after I say I'm ready to expand my presence. Boom. Okay, amazing. That happened, and that was exactly a week later when I was actually supposed to leave from LA on the 5th of December. So it was with two of my sisters, and we had booked our tickets for 3 weeks or so, and we were supposed to leave on the 5th of December. And that day, when I had that transformative experience, it was with a psychic friend of mine, and she told me that the universe is inviting you to stay longer, to expand your presence. Are you going to say yes to that? And it was quite challenging for me to say yes to that, but I did. And I wake up next morning with an invitation. But before that, I had booked I had already changed my tickets. So I canceled my tickets for the 5th. I booked my tickets for the 17th of December. And I said, okay, I'm going to stay for an extra 11 days. And I'm going to see what happens. Whatever magic is meant to happen, it happens. Next morning, I wake up, and what happens? I receive an invitation to this pool party that's happening on the 6th of December, one day after I was meant to depart. One day. I decide to extend. I change my tickets. I pay the price. I had to pay quite a lot. It was peak traffic. I had to pay quite a lot. I decided to do it anyways because it was a calling from the universe, and I get invited to a mansion party. And on the morning of the mansion party, I am wearing jeans, right? Because it's like there's a dress code over there, and so like okay, I have to wear jeans. And what was happening was that the jeans were chafing against my bruised knee, and it was hurting a bit. Now, for whatever reason, I did not want to buy a pack of band-aids. I was just like, I just want a single band-aid. Somehow, I want a single band-aid, and I don't know how it's going to happen, but if I don't find a single band-aid, I will just not do anything, and I will just deal with it. Like it's not hurting that much. I'll just move on. And that morning, I received messages from this party host that it's a pool party and a conference, and food will be served, but don't come hungry to it. Like, eat something beforehand and come to the party. It's like, okay, that's a strange message. So 1 hour before I was supposed to leave, I said, okay, I'll just go for a walk, find something to eat, and I'll go for the party. I have a terrible direction sense, and I thought I'll be able to navigate myself. But as I was walking, I got lost on the way back. And I was like, okay, I'm lost. It doesn't really matter. I have time. I'm just going to explore this neighborhood. I'm just going to walk around LA. It's beautiful. It's nice. I'm enjoying it. I'm just going to walk around. So I was just turning streets randomly, not having any clue where I'm going. And guess what? I find on the sidewalk, on one of these streets where I'm lost, a single sealed bandaid. I have a photo of it. It's going to be in my stories. A single sealed bandaid. How does one pull a bandaid out of the universe? I could have gone on any street at any time, but I happened to be on that street where there was a band-aid lying in perfect condition, completely sealed, waiting to be picked up by me and used. It's impossible if you calculate the odds. It's actually impossible. I could have been in any city. I could have been on any street in any neighborhood. How many band-aids do you find lying around in sealed condition? When does that happen? Why am I sharing all of these stories? Because I want you to know that there is no such thing as impossible. It's only the mind. This is true infinite potential. When you are in alignment with your soul, when you are following your calling, when you feel called to something and you say yes, actual magic is possible. But this is magic, not an illusion. It's not a trick. This is a higher order of the universe. It's a higher order of logic that our mind cannot comprehend. This is soul level logic. And your soul is navigating a reality, it's finding a path to your desire that is very non-linear, that doesn't need to make sense to your mind. But that is what quantum manifestation is. In this wormhole, we are going to find this part of your soul to desire, to manifest whatever is meant to be manifested on the other side of the wormhole. This is what synchronicity is. When you have synchronicities, what is synchronicity is the universe aligning in a way that makes itself obvious. All of a sudden, something happens that doesn't make sense logically, rationally. But it's obvious that it's happening. It's right in front of your eyes. You're experiencing it. How is that happening? That is your soul aligning to a different timeline, moving through the universe, moving through the multiverse to find that path. And so what happens when people are going through the wormhole is that a lot of synchronicities happen, a lot of signs happen, a lot of bizarre, illogical experiences happen. Like pulling a band-aid out of the universe, like pulling a crystal out of the universe, like pulling an invitation to a Hollywood pool party out of nowhere. Anything can happen. And you know what? When you're working with me specifically, my work is stronger than your disbelief. You can come in fully skeptical. You can come in with doubt. You can come in with disbelief. It doesn't matter. My work is stronger than your disbelief. This is stronger than disbelief. I shared that experience in module 2. When I had my spiritual awakening, I did not believe it. I did not want a spiritual awakening. I did not expect it. I was going to get high. I did not want to quit substances. I loved smoking. I loved it. I did not see it as a problem. If I was smoking 30 cigarettes a day, if I was smoking 10 joints a day for years, I loved it. I did it because I loved it. And that was also the reason I was able to drop it so quickly. I realized that I'm not that person anymore. I no longer love it. I no longer enjoy it. But I did not want to quit substances. It was impossible. No one could convince me to stop. Some people tried. They gave up very quickly because they realized it's impossible. Not a lot of people quit substance addictions overnight and don't go back to it for the rest of their life. It's been more than 10 years now. You don't go from smoking 30 cigarettes a day to nothing without even withdrawals. I was literally like, I was just a new person. It's not like I had withdrawals, temptations, because my friends were still smokers. They were still smoking pot and cigarettes all the time. My roommate was smoking all the time. I did not have any temptations. I tried it once. I tried it a few times. Just like, this is not for me. Sometimes, like, there was 1 week or like a short period of time where I did smoke, and after that I was like, okay, this is not for me. That was months later. But again, what am I saying is that you can become any version of you. There are infinite possibilities. And if you don't believe it, it's fine. It's going to happen anyways. A lot of people are even more skeptical of me when I say this. They, when I was at this pool party, right, in Hollywood, so I met this Russian woman, and she was asking me, what do I do? And I told her I'm a spiritual teacher and a spiritual mentor and working in the healing space and transformation space and all of that. And she was like, yeah, I don't really believe in that. And I told her, it doesn't matter. You don't need to believe, it works anyways. She became more skeptical. She's like, what do you mean? I thought everything about spirituality is that you need to believe in it. That's one version of spirituality and manifestation. It's about belief and affirmation and this mental brainwashing yourself. That's one way, and it's valid and it works for many people. It's not my way. It's never worked for me, and it's just not how I enjoy it. It also feels too calculated. It feels too predictable. I would rather not know what I'm manifesting. I would rather pull a white rabbit out of the universe. I would rather pull a bandaid out of the universe. That for me is way more fun, to pull a mansion party invite out of the universe. Like, it's not like, oh, I want a mansion party invite. I want a mansion party invite, and I just keep repeating this to myself. I don't know what's going to happen. I just know it's going to be amazing, because this goes back to what I was saying earlier. When you're living in a state of love, when you're living in a state of joy, in a state of happiness, the life that is being created through you just amplifies all of that. I live in a state of joy and happiness and excitement and wonder and curiosity and adventure. This is what happens in my life because I live in that state. I invite these experiences into my life, not by calculating what's going to happen. I am just open to be surprised by the universe. When people try and tell me what's going to happen, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I prefer not to know. Because it's so much more fun when it happens that way. And so much more can happen than me trying to predict and calculate what's going to happen. Because I've tried that strategy of going the linear manifestation route of, okay, I want to manifest $10,000 and I'm trying to stay in that, and it just stresses me out. It just feels horrible, and it takes me out of my joy. It takes me out of my excitement. It takes me out of my love for life. And then even the normal magic that happens in my life, normal, stops happening. Then I start having a terrible experience of life. So I basically gave up on that manifestation style completely because it never worked for me. But what does work, what does happen, is what I'm going to be teaching you in the wormhole. And you don't need to believe it. You can be as skeptical as you want, as long as you're open to being proved wrong. As long as you're open to stuff happening. Be skeptical. As long as some part of you feels called. Some part of you knows that you're meant to be in this experience. And I am going to help you in this experience, in the wormhole, to become the one who is the manifestor. It's not about what you manifest. I'm going to activate the master manifestor within you to whatever capacity and degree you're ready to activate that. You will enter a state, and you can live in that state as long as you want, as long as you're willing to do whatever it takes to live in that state. You can live in that state for the rest of your life, and you can keep expanding that state of magic. Magic is a frequency, and you can live in a state of magic, and magic can keep happening around you all the time. I will teach you how to live in that. I won't teach you how to manifest $10,000 or a Ferrari or a mansion or a partner. I will teach you how to manifest the master manifestor within you. I will teach you how to manifest magic mode, in which if a partner is meant to come in, the love of your life, your soulmate is meant to come in, they will come in. I met my soul sister on LinkedIn. LinkedIn. We had a 6-month relationship. First, we just became friends. We became family first. Then it became romantic for 6 months. Then it transitioned from that. We became twin. We really feel like we are twins. So not just siblings, we are twins. So I have another soul sister also. I have several, but one of them is my twin. I manifested her on LinkedIn. She is the one with whom through whom she picked up the rutilated quartz crystal. And her name is Ruta also. Rutilated quartz, Ruta. She picked out the crystal for me. And I found her on LinkedIn. I came across one of her posts on LinkedIn, and 9 months later, we did not speak for 9 months. We had one conversation, did not go anywhere. 9 months later, we started the journey of becoming soul twins, of being soul twins. You can manifest people in the right state. This may be the seed for you. It may not be the time to enter. So I met Ruta in July 2023. 2. We had a conversation. Nothing happened for 9 months because you're not ready to really properly fully meet each other. But when we had our next conversation, boom, boom. 5 weeks later, she was in Brazil from Portugal. She felt the calling that strongly. In 5 weeks, she left her life in Portugal to come visit me, and she stayed for 15 months. Those kinds of experiences can happen. You meet people out of nowhere across the world. Anything is possible. Anything. And you are the one who makes that magic possible by being the one, by being your soul. This is where manifestation is happening. All the dualities within you, all these disintegrated parts are brought together by your soul. That is transformation manifestation. I use the principles of manifestation for transformation, for you to become your soul, for you to drop these limited identities and become your soul, which is infinite and can take on any identity, as many identities as you want to and are meant to take on, to keep shifting through life, to keep moving through life. When the expiration date passes on one identity, you move on. There's no grief, there's no regret. Our relationship lasted for 6 months. And on the day that it ended, we both knew, we both moved on. Next day, everything was great. We continued living together for 6 months after that. Not a lot of couples can do that. But we knew that we are much more than a romantic relationship. And it was too important for us to let go of what we had just because the romance did not work out. I found my soul twin. I am grateful for that. But I could have been the one who was disappointed that the romance did not work out and we had a breakup, and that means that we're not supposed to talk again, and a woman and a man cannot live together and they cannot be friends without having sex, without being attracted to each other. We have no attraction for each other and we lived together for 6 months. But I pulled her out of the universe. We pulled each other out of the universe on LinkedIn, through LinkedIn. Anything can happen at any time from anywhere. You can receive a mansion party invite on Instagram. You can meet your soul twin on LinkedIn. I found, so last time I was sharing about my miraculous journey of coming to Brazil and living in Brazil and receiving that freelancing opportunity after 2 weeks out of nowhere. I just got an email 2 weeks after quitting my 200K job from a company telling me that I can work from anywhere, how much ever time I want. I already shared the story, so I won't go into that. But what happened 6 months after that? My aunt introduced me to someone, a startup founder who was looking for someone like me who could help build their software system. But they were willing to meet me at my terms, which was I get to work from anywhere at any time. I can take off however long I want. And what was even better this time was that they were ready to give me a monthly contract. So I would be paid every month. Now it became consistent. So earlier it was freelancing. I would get paid for how much ever work I would do. And it was based on me. I could choose how much ever I wanted to work. But here, I got the same benefits and I would be paid consistently every month, even if I chose to work only 10 days or 20 days or 30 days. It was entirely up to me. That kind of opportunity doesn't come by for everyone. I did not go looking for that. I manifested it because I was in a state of complete alignment with my soul. I was doing what I knew I was meant to be doing. And the universe kept supporting me. My soul kept finding the realities in which the universe can keep supporting me. I kept listening to my intuition and saying yes to whatever I was being called for. It takes training to live in this mode, and that's what I teach in all my work. The wormhole is an introductory experience. It will be 3 weeks where I'll teach you a lot, and for some of you, you will receive exactly what you need, and you can take that and you can move forward in your life by yourself. For some people, that will be the beginning of the journey. And then I have my membership where I'm doing this all the time, where month after month, you're going into higher and higher levels of magic. And then there is my private mentorship and my deep immersion experiences, which are just absolutely next level. And if you want to know more about that, you can reach out to me. I have a lot of magic in that which cannot really be explained. It's meant to be experienced, and so I don't even talk about it much. If you feel called to that, just talk to me. This is where I'm closing today's module. I'm closing this masterclass with a couple of questions only one question remaining. Like one of the questions was about doubt, uncertainty. So I'd opened up the Q&A thread and I received two questions. One of the questions I received was about doubt and uncertainty and skepticism. I already addressed that. The second question was about specific details about the wormhole. It's not about specificity, it's about fluidity. The way the wormhole functions, the way I organize the wormhole, is also a teaching in itself. So I have put up on the wormhole page that there'll be 21 days of daily calls. The timing of those calls will be decided by me whenever I know the timing. It will sometimes it will be a few days in advance, sometimes it may be on a specific day. Whatever it is meant to be, I'm going to teach you how to live in that mode. And the purpose of the calls is not for you to be present on every single call. Those calls are there for me to deliver trainings, for me to support people whenever they can make it to the call. Apart from that, there's an offline forum where you will also be supported. There'll be other facilitators who may be hosting calls at other times. The whole experience is designed in a way that you will receive what you are meant to receive at the time that you're meant to receive it. It's not about knowing beforehand, okay, every day the call is at 10 a.m. and I have to fix and plan and schedule. It's not that way. This is not the type of experience. If you can't show up for a call, you're not meant to show up for the call. There are replays available. You can catch up on replay. And when you're meant to show up, it's going to show up. You're going to show up. You're going to receive exactly what you're meant to receive. So that answers that question. It's not about specifics. It's not about details. It will be what it is meant to be. And you will learn how to live in this mode and create in this mode. I had to learn how to host experiences in this mode. Everyone wants to know exact details. Not everyone. Many people want to know exact details. They want to know what time the call will be. Or you said there'll be a call of 1 hour every single day. I stopped doing that because it was suffocating for me. Earlier, I used to do weekly calls every Sunday at 2 p.m. my time. It was great for a long time. I did that for 4.5 years. I got tired of it. I don't want to create that way. I don't want to offer my magic that way. My magic comes through when it's meant to come through. Some experiences I will offer will have very clear details, will have fixed things because that's what it is meant to be. It's come through for me clearly. This experience is meant to be 21 days. That was super clear. It's meant to start on 3/3. Super clear. There will be daily calls. Timing, not decided. I have my membership. In that, I have weekly calls. Time is pretty certain in that most of the times. Again, it's very new. I'm doing this membership as a new membership. The way I facilitate it will change over time. How I do it will change over time. So if you're coming into any of my work, it's not because you expect me to be on time. It's not because you expect certainty. It's because you want to learn to live in alignment with your soul, with the universe, with nature, with the world. You want to learn to be the one who creates harmony, who creates divine harmony and divine time. You want to learn how to create time, create timelines that do not exist. This is when you come into my work. And I am very excited to see you in there. All the details about the wormhole will be in the description of this video. All my other offers are on my website, which is also in the description of this video. If you have questions, you can put them in the Q&A thread. I will help you offline. And you can also message me on Instagram at any time. You can message me through my website at any time. See you in one of my experiences. And thank you for joining me for this masterclass. And once again, if this has awakened something in you, activated something in you, inspired you enough to share it, I'll be super grateful. Please do let me know that you've shared it. Tag me on Instagram, on Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever you share it, X. I have the same profile over there. It's the same handle, TOXOIT with zeros. You'll find that in the description too below. And as I said, on day one, there is a draw for the people who share it. There will be special gifts, there will be special bonuses. And if you share, the sharing guide is in the forum. If you share and someone joins one of my experiences because of you, if they join the wormhole because of you, it will be tracked. It's a referral, and you will get credit towards future experiences with me. All of those details are in the guide section, in the featured section on the forum. So that's where you can learn more about it. If you've not joined the forum yet and you found this directly on YouTube, you have the description, in the description, the link to join on the forum. Okay, that's it. See you in an experience. Thank you.